Liz. Hi, everybody. I'm Maggie. I am the New Jersey Director for Veterans Yoga Project. And I appreciate being part of this group. And I just thought we'd start in just a little moment for Veterans Day. Such a powerful day yesterday. So let's just pause here just a moment and just maybe just think of somebody that we just want to dedicate this day to for Veterans Day. And all the work that everybody's done and the service is so appreciated, and we are so grateful.
It's a party.
Beautiful.
It's a party.
Beautiful. Anyway, I appreciate everybody joining. I'm going to cover some tips to kind of get us a little, maybe thinking outside of the box, some things we can do during the holidays. I know I have just been that victim of having just certain days that are just associated with something just really painful. And so some ways that we can maybe let go and try something a little different. We're going to do a little breath work, little guided meditation. I got a little music for you. And then we'll just take questions at the end. So if you have something while we're talking, I guess you can throw it into the chat box. We have Miss Holly standing by there. And we're going to get going. So the holidays, as we know, anyway, it can be a rough time for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So I put together some tips, and it's going to be on a little handout that we're going to send to you afterwards. So one of the biggest things is a morning routine. So I'm going to lead you through a little breath work. This is something we can do a little breath work, breathing. When we think of yoga, if people can breathe, that is all you're doing, and that's all you have to do, and you've just done yoga. So myself, for 20 years, therapists told me, you need to do yoga, and I would just sit there and say, that's just dumb because I can't sit still. Why would I want to do that? And I stumbled into a yoga class when I moved to New Jersey about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And it was a hot yoga class in the middle of the summer. I was just as miserable as a human being could be because I'm just dripping. And I fell over probably 8 times during class. The yoga teacher would stand there and catch me. That was sort of her funny ha-ha thing. And anyway, I walked out of there about an hour later and thought, I just feel so light and just a whole different feeling that I'd never felt before. So, and a lot of times with these things, we have a lot of issues. We have arthritis, we have bad knees, we have this, we have that. It's just making modifications and making whatever you're doing work for yourself, whatever that is, whether it's taking a walk, doing some stretching, whatever you need to do. So just making those modifications so you yourself feel successful and you feel productive. You feel like you've done something for yourself. So one of the tips, and I did just a bunch of research online and really thinking about what has helped me over the years, and doing self-care is something that we need to do for ourselves. We'll have those moments, we'll have those days, anxiety will kick in, we'll get depressed about something. And you know what? Doing something different, getting outside, going for a walk, some breathing, maybe taking a nap. Maybe the nap is what we need. Reading a book, sitting outside on a beautiful day. So one of the things, so a morning routine, sometimes we need to light a candle. So I have my little candle here. And we're going to come into a little calming breath. And we're going to just try this right now. And just a little something that you could do in the morning or any time that you need. So with breathing, that longer exhale helps to calm the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is what calms us down. It can help lower blood pressure. So it's about that longer exhale. So what we're going to do right now, and just bring the right hand to the chest, left hand to the belly. Perhaps closing the eyes or lowering the gaze. And on that next inhale, we're going to inhale through the nose to the count of 2, pausing at the top, exhaling to the count of 4, and then pausing at the bottom. So together, inhale, 1, 2, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, 1, 2, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Inhale, few more rounds of this calming breath. Just coming back to the breath. If you notice any distractions, acknowledge, do your best not to engage, and let it go. And on that next inhale, just raise the gaze, coming back to your space. So there's a lot of different types of breath work. And I was mentioning earlier to Holly, I'm going to have her post the link for Veterans Yoga Project. There are hundreds of classes every week that are online, that are free for our veteran community. And you can choose anything from breath work to stretching to something for low back pain, yoga nidra, which is a little guided meditation, whatever you need. And you just click the button, you log in, and it's right there for you. So thank you for that. So some tips for the holidays. Let me just pull up my little sheet here. We're going to send this out to everybody at the end. And candlelight. Okay, so one of the things, a morning routine. And I know a lot of us have little kids. Sometimes in order to get that in, we have to get up before everybody else. And my kids are grown now, but when they were little, in order to get anything done, an extra, 20 minutes just to sit and read the paper, or sit outside, do some stretching. Sometimes we just have to get up earlier or find that special space. Maybe it's not in the house, maybe it's outside somewhere in the yard, or a special place you like to go take a walk. So taking a walk sometimes, if we're home and things are getting a little stressful or depressing, putting on the sneakers and just getting outside for a walk, mixing up that space where we are, maybe going to a different place for a walk. Respecting our budget is another thing. This is really hard during the holidays because maybe we overbuy for people. I've done this. I've overbought, and sometimes those things I just take half of it and stuff it up in the cupboard and then save it for the next year. So that's one of the things that it can cause stress later on after the holidays. So that's something, we could think about. One of the things that I was reading, opting out of creating an account if you shop online, and I've never thought about this before, but if you create an account and give them your email address, you're just going to get bombarded with emails. So checking out as a guest, is the best way to not get bombarded with extra emails where they're trying to sell you something else. So again, I find that to be a little stressful, especially when, you know, you don't remember providing somebody your email address and all of a sudden you're getting it, and getting to that point where you can delete or block those. It just takes a lot of work and it can be a little stressful. I think, you know, one of the areas is saying no. And I know I've had this problem, and I meet with a nutritionist every week to, you know, work through some digestive issues that I've had for years. And a couple things that we've talked about. We hear the word mindfulness and we think, what the heck is that? So mindfulness is being present in the moment. So if I'm eating a meal, slowing down my eating would be being mindful. Keeping in the back of your mind as you're doing something, you know, why are we doing something? Is it something we want to do, something we need to do? Or maybe we can just say no. And one of the things that I've struggled with over the years is saying no without having to explain myself. So we don't have to explain and give this whole litany of reasons why we can't do something. If we can't do it, we have another commitment, or we just don't feel like it, no is a great answer. No is an answer. And I think, you know, saying no, events and people that want to get together and do something, and you're just not either in the place budget-wise or time-wise, it just doesn't work. Having to explain ourselves, and then we feel guilty. And guilt is just an awful thing. And you know, we can have guilt over all kinds of things, but having guilt over not baking cookies for the, you know, a party at your child's school, you know, maybe we just go pick them up at the store. So I think that sometimes we just need to let go of those things that make us feel guilty. And sometimes we're just making our own selves feel guilty, and there's no reason to feel guilty. But I think a lot of that, it probably comes from, I know mine comes from childhood. You know, you're maybe a people pleaser, or we're trying to please a parent. And that can be really hard. And especially if they've passed. I know with my dad, you know, it was a lot of drama there. He was a drinker, and he was a veteran and suffered from he just had a lot of stuff that he never talked about. And talking, I think, is another thing. Having somebody that you can talk to, a friend. I do a lot of work with veterans, and, you know, sometimes they just want to talk. And I have one gentleman in particular, and I mean, he could just sit there and talk for hours, and we get together for lunch and he just talks, and he feels so much better when he's done. And sometimes being that sounding board, sometimes something like that can lead to, we call this compassion fatigue. And when you're there for somebody, and sometimes we are there for people too much, and that can lead to just burnout. So we're just burnt out. We just don't want to hear anything else. We don't want to listen. We don't have anything else to give. And again, you know, using no, and just, you know, no. The other thing that sort of came up out of that was, and I get invited to a lot of stuff, especially during the holidays. And, you know, COVID was kind of an excuse, you know, can't really use that. Well, we can kind of use that now. Maybe not as much. But the thought of, if you get asked to do something or invited to do something, if that first gut response is not, hell yeah, I really want to go do this, then the answer should just be no. And, you know, saying you have to check your calendar or any of that, it's just delaying the inevitable of just, no, I don't have time. I need a quiet day to myself. Maybe I just want to take a nap. And that's okay. And that's okay. The other thing, and mental health is so everywhere right now with everything, with, kids in school, too much to do. With the veteran community that I work with, it's sometimes we just need to take a mental health day or a wellness day. And I just did this with my husband. He started having a little chest pain last week. Work was a little stressful. You know what? He called out on Friday and we are now down at the beach right now. So you got to look for those warning signs with yourself and ask for help. If help is not readily available, just finding somebody to talk to that can get some help, and really reaching out and doing those things for yourself. The other thing, hang on, I'm looking at my notes here. Oh, I love this. Okay. We hear the phrase, fear of missing out, that FOMO. And I saw this online. I thought this is just brilliant. We could change it to JOMO, JOMO, the joy of missing out. And sometimes it feels good. You know what? I'm not going to do what I planned on doing today. I'm out of that. I now have joy. I feel joyful with myself. Happy that I don't have to go do something. So that's something that it'll be in the handout for you. I thought that was just brilliant. There's a lot in there about dumping the guilt. And I think really figuring out what matters most to you. So, my situation, you get to a certain age and you find that thing that you just love to do. And, they always say a job should be something, that you enjoy. So it's never really like a job. So really looking at those hobbies, maybe those hobbies we had as a kid, the thing we loved. I used to rescue cats. I'm allergic to cats. Okay, that's not a thing. But I started playing the violin when I was 9, right? So that's something that I can turn to and I can use for my own, peace of mind. It's something I can do. And when I was young and used to practice, it would just take you to that zone where, nobody can bother you. And it's just, you're right there with yourself. And so looking at maybe those things that brought joy when we were kids, reading a book instead of going online to read a book. It's just, grab that paperback and just, right? And we can go curl up in a chair. We're not online. Shutting off the phone. My daughter will do that, right? And 3-4 days I can't reach her, and you know what? She's taking a technology break, and perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. One of the other things that I threw into this information for you, getting up and dancing, and I'll be live at your next event, so we're going to do that when I go there. But cranking some music, some fun, happy music in your kitchen, and nobody else is around, and just dancing. And we don't have to know how to dance. We don't have to do it well. Just throwing ourselves out there and just feeling joy. And I think definitely helpful. The other thing, and I've done this, the holidays are painful for me. My best friend was murdered back in Los Angeles, it's been 34 years. And her birthday is the day before Thanksgiving. She was murdered the day after Thanksgiving. And it just brought, that whole time of the year for me for years was just incredibly painful. So, mixing up those traditions has been helpful for me. Maybe it's not making Thanksgiving at home. Maybe it's, going over to a friend. Maybe it's just going out to dinner. Maybe it's just going someplace completely different where, again, it's not really escaping it, but, changing it up. So maybe we have a different memory, a different positive memory that we can fall back on. To make that a little better. So anyway, so I threw a bunch of that stuff in that flyer for you. I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm just trying to think if there's something else specific. And taking time for yourself, trying to do some kind of exercise, whatever that is, whether it's an online video or the walk or hiking. Hiking is a big thing. Just getting out into the wilderness. I was up in Maine last week and, just being out where there are absolutely no people is absolutely probably one of my favorite things to do. And can really clear your head. If you're into meditation, if you find you need some help sleeping, this is something I do, guided meditation. Some people don't like it. It does help calm us down. It's called Yoga Nidra. I teach a class at a senior center, and I had 14 women sitting in front of me. And for 20 minutes, all they talked about was how they can't sleep. I can't sleep, Maggie. I just can't. I can't. And there are things to do. There's, waking up earlier and not taking the nap so that we can go to sleep at night. But guided meditation, you've heard of the Calm app. This is something I've used in the past, where it can just sort of, a little guided meditation give me something to focus on as I fall asleep. But in this particular day, I had 14 women. Again, nobody can sleep. So we started to do a guided meditation, and 10 minutes in, I hear snoring. Every single one of these women were snoring. Their heads are hanging, the chins are to the chest. And I got done, and it took me 20 minutes to wake them up. So there are things we can do. Sometimes it's a little outside of the box. This is not something I would have thought of 20 years ago. So I'm going to be doing a little guided meditation for you in a little bit. And what it does is it kind of puts you in I'm aware, yet I'm almost asleep kind of thing. If you fall asleep, perfectly fine. It happens. But what it does is when people wake up or come out of a guided meditation, they feel like they've had a nap. So, and there's something to say about having a 20-minute nap in the middle of the day. Just gives you a whole, right? Just waking up, and it's like a whole fresh start. So we're definitely going to have some questions and answers at the end. So I'm going to move into a little guided meditation right now. So I can see the room there. So we're probably sitting. If you're at home and you want to lay down, this is definitely something you can do. So this is just a little 10-minute guided meditation, and it's something that nurtures your inner child. So I found this morning. I thought this would be kind of fun. I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze here. And begin by focusing on your breathing. Being aware of your own rhythm. And while exhaling, imagine letting go of all of the stress in your body. Remaining aware of your breathing. And using your mind's eye, scan your body for areas where you're holding stress. Feel these areas relax and begin to let go. Allowing your mind to let go of any thoughts, any worries, any concerns. You are completely relaxed in your mind, in your body. Imagine a soft breeze blowing over your body, helping you let go further. Feel the gentle caressing breeze. Imagine yourself deeply at peace. See yourself leaving your space and going to a place in nature that you love. Feel yourself in this beautiful place. Gaze at your surroundings. You're invited to smell the odors, the fragrances of this place. Touch your surroundings. Feel the feelings deep inside as you find yourself becoming more and more peaceful, being alone with nature. Find a place where you can lie down. Close your eyes and become aware of yourself alone in this space. You're alone and at peace. In this stillness, you hear the beating of your heart, gazing at the beauty around you. In the distance, you see a child coming towards you. You watch the child approach. As the child draws near, you become aware that this child is you, the child that lives inside of you. Gazing upon the face of this little girl, you see clearly what this child needs, what the child longs for. You're aware of this child's physical needs, emotional needs, intellectual, spiritual, and social needs. You see this child so clearly, realizing so deeply what this little girl needs. As the child reaches out to you, you gather her in your arms. You nurture the child in ways that she's always longed to be nurtured. You say to the child what she's longed to hear. You forgive. You give permission. You listen to whatever the child has to share with you. Take a few minutes to nurture your inner child. Look deeply into the eyes of this child and make one promise to the child that you will keep. Allow the child to merge with you. For this little girl lives within you every day and every night. You are the nurturer. You are the nurturer that invites this child to feel loved and cared for. And now be still and pay attention to your breathing. When you're ready, gently bring yourself back into the room. Stretching, moving your arms and legs. Yawn. And gently open your eyes or raise your gaze. Gently opening the eyes and raising the gaze. And let's take a big inhale. Inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands in prayer in front of the chest. One more time, big stretch up. And exhale. And one more time. And exhale all the way down. I have a little piece of music here for you. This piece of music is called the Ashokan Farewell. And this is something that was written by Jay Ungar. He was closing up a fiddle camp up in the Adirondacks. And he wrote this piece of music at the close of his fiddle camp. This song has been used in the Civil War series, so it may sound a bit familiar to you. If you'd like to close your eyes as you listen, you may. let's bring something to mind that we're grateful for today. Maybe grateful for the weather, grateful for just coming together today. Beautiful. And I will turn this back to Holly and Liz.